Hello guys and gals, welcome back to Umineko. My name is Sean and I'm here with Matt.
Yeah.
And we're going to, before we start chapter 3, we're going to start reading through the characters, okay?
Question. What accent is that?
I have no idea and I'm not going to say because I don't...
It's probably for the best. Alright.
It's the John accent.
I respect it.
Yes.
So let's take a look here. We've read Beatrice, right?
Yes.
What about Ben Castel? Oh, whoops. The Witch of Miracles, who has lived for 1,000 years, her vast power is capable of creating all kinds of miracles, but her heart has broken a little bit as a result. Back when she was human, Lambda Delta once imprisoned her within a cruel fate, toying with her the whole time. It seems that she's unable to abandon others who are caught within a similar fate. So she was human, got caught up in Lambda Delta's game, and became a witch, if witches exist.
Mm-hmm.
The Witch of Certainty, who has lived for 1,000 years, she embodies the idea that hard workers are rewarded, and is highly respected even by humans. Though she is a witch, she does not stray far from the concepts of humans. For that reason, her power as one worshipped by humans is incalculable. However, she is fickle about whose efforts she chooses to reward, and in many cases she bestows her favor upon her massive...
Upon those who can please her the most.
Oh, yeah. Her massive, swift, and terrible power can cause any witch to submit in an instant. However, she is often reckless, and Baron Castell was able to take full advantage of her. Of that. Wow, there's a lot. This over a little bit. Seven Sisters of Purgatory. Eldest Sister, Lucifer. Advanced level furniture created by Beatrice can move on her own accord, but cannot disobey her summoner's orders. Possesses significant power even in human form, but her terrifying full potential is truly unleashed only upon returning to her original form as one of the seven stakes of Purgatory, and soaring at the enemy at high speeds. Haughty and arrogant, but actually feels pleasure from submission. Second Sister, Leviathan. Advanced level furniture created by Beatrice can move on her own accord, but cannot disobey her summoner's orders. Possesses significant power even in human form, but her terrifying full potential is truly unleashed only upon returning to her original form as one of the seven stakes. Okay, so that's all the same. Nothing but a jealous cryberry baby shall do whatever it takes to get what she wants. Satan. Really grumpy, but actually wants others to get angry with her. Belphegor. Thoughtful and hardworking. Because of this, she corrupts her masters. Interesting. Mammon. Really greedy. Once she decides she wants something, she will sacrifice anything and everything to get it. Beelzebub. In fact, a gourmet. Would use any ingredients to make a good meal, even her own body. Wow. I just can't get over these uniforms. Yeah. What's going on there? Asmodeus. At that age where she wants a boyfriend, would give up her life for love. So these are all listed too.
Mm-hmm.
Did we read Kinzo?
We might have before. I think we read Kinzo. I don't know though.
Extremely lopsided, summoning and barriers. Inherited massive resistance. Magic defense can be seen as an ace in the hole for the battle against the witch. Kinzo has begun to lose his power with age, but Battler's power is still on the rise. Perhaps it's understandable why Beatrice tried to crush it as soon as possible. Inherited the black blood from Kinzo. Is that magical blood?
Black blood? I have no idea.
Interesting. Gifted natural talent, began to tread the path of the mage. While still young, that set her power is still weak, and she is no more than an apprentice. However, she is skilled with enchantments, which bestow magical power upon objects, and the magical items she creates compete with those of the Meister class. Interesting. Kinzo's earliest furniture, which he created to serve him and him alone with complete loyalty. Though he was Kinzo's first creation, he was made with the help of a high-class demon, so there were several flaws in his initial specs. He concealed a great potential within himself. In the many years following that, he began to mature and compensate for his many deficiencies, turning himself into the nearly flawless butler furniture that he is now. He is approaching the limit of his service life, but with the magical power he can unleash for an instant rivals Kinzo's. Shannon is Kinzo's handmade furniture in the purest sense, which he created without borrowing the power of demons. Though there were problems with several of her initial specs, she was given a very rare and precious thing, a heart. It seems that as a result of his long personal experience, Kinzo came to believe that the power created by the heart contains within it a strong magic. In the lengthy span of time following that, she began to mature, becoming exceptionally skilled with power of a protective but repulsive nature, such as magical barriers. Because of this, in the realm of barriers alone, she possesses an immense mage-class level of power. The last furniture created by Kinzo thus far. Making use of all previous experience, Kinzo managed to implement a set of flawless specs. Kennen was also given a heart, but it was much weaker than Shannon's. Perhaps because Kinzo felt a sense of approaching personal danger related to his fortune, as he neared the end of his life, he bestowed Kennen with the rare power to fight and protect. However, he hasn't yet matured very far and is unable to control his own power and speed. Alright.
New tips.
New tips.
Episode 2.
That was... Sorry, how do you go back?
Right click.
Golden butterfly brooch.
I think we've read all of these, right? Did we read this? I don't think we did. I don't remember reading the brooch. In order to mediate the relationship between the opposite sex, it favorably edits all their fate numbers and mediates the relationship. Since it is nothing more than a favorable edit, large differences can be seen in its effects depending on the individual. Hence, the witch giving this item does not measure with care whether the target she will give this item to will be able to use it effectively or not. She risks being called a liar. The activation cost is enormous, and to many human beings it will be no more useful than a simple brooch. However, blind love pays enormous cost with ease. If there is goodwill from the other partner in addition, the effects will become even more dramatic. Ironically, the more dramatic the effects are, the less needs there was for such a breach in the first place. I guess that's what she gave Shannon then.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We might have read that before. Alright.
Alright. Go to start.
Yep.
Episode 3.
Yep. Here we go.
Alright. Is that a good spot?
Yeah.
This story is undoubtedly nothing more than a fantasy. It could not possibly have any relation to any real persons or anything like that. At all. Not at all. Why are we doing this to ourselves, John?
Why are we doing what?
This visual novel. Just everything about it. The vase was very, very beautiful, rich with history and value. Even as young as I was, it still forced me to take a deep breath when I witnessed its beauty. Of course, it was one of Grandfather's favorite collection pieces. So that I didn't accidentally destroy its fragile beauty, I was always strictly ordered never to touch it. But that just made me want to touch it. You could almost see right through it, and yet it was so elegant and appeared so weightless, and yet it had an indescribable presence. I wanted to see what it felt like to touch a vase like that. However, just as Grandfather had said, it was something that must not be touched. This much beauty arises precisely because it must never be touched. It was a beauty that could only dwell in something so fragile it would break at a touch. Which is exactly why, if it were to be touched by my impudent finger, it would, oh so easily. Just like an enjoyable morning dream fading into nothing as you wake. It vanished, fell, and broke into smithereens. I realized that, because of my own foolish curiosity, I had done something that couldn't be taken back. No matter how much I regretted it, no matter how much I apologized, the broken vase would not return to its original form. I would probably be scolded by Grandfather, probably very harshly. Frightened, I ended up breaking into tears and sobbing. As I did, I noticed something beautiful. Lightly dancing golden butterflies were coming towards me. The beautiful butterflies began to gather, one at a time, glittering fantastically with glowing golden powder. Oh, it's Beatrice. That reliable golden witch Beatrice has arrived. The butterflies gathered one after another, grouped together, and there became her form. She was always on my side. Whenever I was in trouble, she would always appear and help me.
ごきげんよう、お姫様。ベアトリーチェ。おやおや、このような絶好のお茶会日和にどうして姫様はそのように涙をこぼされているのですか？おじい様が大切にしていた壺を壊してしまったの。おじい様に怒られます。どうしたらいいかわからなくて。それは困りましたね。これは親方様が大層お気に入りになられていた壺のはず。どのような折檻があるか、このベアトリーチェ、想像するのも恐ろしゅうございます。
Grandfather was a very frightening person, and once he told you something, if you failed to follow it, he would become mad with a rage that could make even the fallen angels in hell quiver. I was intimately familiar with that, which is why I couldn't do anything but shake like this and cry.
こぼしてしまった姫様の涙を救う魔法は持ち合わせておりませんが、姫様が親方様から折檻を受けなくて済むようにする魔法ならなんとかなるかもしれません。本当？姫様が私の力をお信じくださればでございます。魔法の力の根源は信じる力。奇跡はそれを強く信じる者の前にしか示されません。信じる。ベアトリーチェの魔法を信じます。だからこの壺を直してください。お願いします。姫様がそれをお望みでしたら、それではこのベアトリーチェにお任せを。
When she extended her index finger, a golden butterfly softly landed there and changed its form into her favorite magic wand. Even that was enough to give me a small glimpse at Beatrice's wonderful and great magic power. She pointed her wand at the broken vase, and, just like a child's lullaby, she began speaking the magic words.
さあさあ、目を閉じてごらんなさい。そして思い出してごらんなさい。あなたがどんな姿をしていたのか。それはきっととてもとても美しい姿。どうか私にあの姿をもう一度見せておくれ。
Were they words? Or was it a song? No, it was surely magic. After all, can't you see? The pieces of the vase are gathering together in no time at all, and softly returning to the place where they had been displayed, returning to their original beautiful form.
すごい。ほら、これで元通りですよ。これで親方様にお叱りを受けずに済みますね。
Good new soundtrack.
Yeah.
ベアトリーチェはすごいね。壊れた壺を直すなんて造作もないんだね。そんなことはありませんよ。壊れてしまったものを元に戻すのはとてもとても難しいことです。私の魔法は一時それを思い出させるだけに過ぎませんよ。でも壺はちゃんと元通りになったよ。そうですね。ですがそれは壺が壊れたという運命を回避させたわけではありません。
Just delayed it?
壊れた壺に一時壊れる前の姿を思い出させるだけに過ぎません。
For the time being, she keeps saying that.
壊れた運命を元の姿に修復するほどの魔力はこのベアトリーチェにも未だ至らぬ遥かな高みなのです。
I'm so confused.
Why?
It's not... It's not the Beatrice that we know. Or at least it just doesn't look like her. Sounds like a different voice too, doesn't it?
Yeah, who's the person we're with and where are we now?
I mean, I think they're leading us to believe that it's Jessica and that Kinzo is grandfather, but I think it's... This doesn't even look like the mansion.
You're right.
Like, this has got to be something different, maybe even further back. At that time, the high-pitched scream of a servant could be heard from inside the mansion. When I went to see what had happened, I noticed that several of the servants had gathered and were cleaning up the remains of the broken vase. From what they said, it seemed that a black cat had sneaked in from somewhere, climbed up on the vase, and toppled it over. I understood the meaning of what Beatrice had said. At the time that I broke the vase had been broken. Beatrice had shown me that the vase had been restored, but that had been a temporary thing. It didn't mean the fate that the vase had been broken had changed. As a result, the vase had remembered its true fate and broke. But I hadn't broken it. Instead, it had been a cat which had snuck in. That's right. Beatrice hadn't said, "Let's mend the vase." She said she would make it so that I didn't have to be punished. The fate of the vase breaking hadn't changed, but the fact that I had broken it certainly had. Beatrice had skillfully saved me from danger with that magic.
物を壊すことはとても容易なことです。姫様が壺を割るのに魔法を必要としなかったように。直すことはとても難しいこと？はい。姫様が途方に暮れて泣き出してしまうほどに。魔法というのは恐ろしいことをする時の方がたやすいの？壊したり殺したりすることは簡単にできるのに、直したり蘇らせたりするのはとても難しいというし。そうですね。魔法は殺めたり壊したりすることの方がとても簡単です。故に誘惑に負ける弱き魔女たちは安易に身につけられる力に酔い、本当の魔法の修行を怠ってしまいます。本当の魔法とは治す力、蘇ってしまった幸せを呼び戻し、冷めてしまった愛をも呼び戻す。そして微笑を忘れてしまった姫様の顔に笑顔を呼び戻せるのですよ。なら壺を治すことができたベアトリーチェはすごい魔女ということ？私などまだまだ修行の日々ですよ。壺が割れるという運命を私の魔法ではほんの1時間も忘れさせることができなかったのですから、私に魔法を教えてくれたお師匠様ならきっと永遠に壺を元の姿に蘇らせることができたでしょうね。壊れても壊れても何度でも何度でも直せる？ええ、その境地に達した時、無限の魔力が備わるでしょう。それこそが魔女の達するべき無限の境地。私たちはその魔女を最大の敬いをもってこう呼びます。無限の魔女。そうです。無限に治す力を持つ魔女にとって壊れるという概念はもはや存在しない。失うというすべての悲しみから解放され、永遠の至福を約束されるのです。
Certainly, the human world is full of sadness caused by separation and loss. To escape that sadness, people pray to God and ask for the power to withstand the sadness, believing it to be a test. In other words, a human's life is a journey, searching for a way to withstand sadness. In that case, a witch who could revive all things would be freed from all sadness in the world. In other words, it is eternal bliss.
私もベアトリーチェみたいな魔女になって永遠に幸せになれるかな？姫様がですか？それは長い大変な修行となりますよ。私魔女になりたい。幸せになりたい。 ちゃんの弟子になりたい。
Something tells me that this little girl is our Beatrice.
That's what I was thinking too.
Because I mean, if you look at the architecture, and like, it's much older, first of all, and she's also calling her princess.
Or could this be the Beatrice, the original Beatrice that Kinzo knew?
Then who would the little girl be?
The little girl would be the original Beatrice that Kinzo knew.
But is that Beatrice different from the one that we see?
It's a good question.
So are you saying that... I was saying that the little girl grows up to be the Beatrice that Kinzo knows and interacts with.
Yes.
The Witch of the Portrait.
The Witch of the Portrait? Like, the...
What do you mean?
I'm trying to say, like, so... Naturally, so what you're saying is the Kinzo, just to get this right, Kinzo we don't know if Kinzo met an actual person named Beatrice, or if he met a witch named Beatrice during his life.
Yeah.
Like when he met her way back when. Now, what I'm thinking is, this is the girl who grew up to be the Kinzo, the Beatrice that Kinzo met and had some type of relationship with before whatever happened to her and she turned into a witch.
Oh. So you're saying that when Kinzo knew her, she wasn't a witch?
I'm saying when Kinzo knew her, because obviously he's talking about her return and everything.
Yeah.
And obviously we're talking about the witch being revived. Which means that if Kinzo knew a Beatrice, she was either a witch the whole time, or she was a human who died and became a witch.
And is now reviving as a witch.
As the Golden Witch. Yes.
And that's why she needs people to believe in her?
Maybe. I don't know. But, like, regardless, this girl is the girl that Kinzo knew as Beatrice.
Right.
Yes. Probably.
Most likely.
That's what I think.
Okay. Alright.
It's just a theory.
そのお気持ちにいささかの揺らぎもありませんか？はい。私も魔女になりたいです。わかりました。では姫様がお飽きになるまで私の弟子にして差し上げましょう。私のことをお師匠様と呼べますか？はい。お師匠様。良い返事ですね。ではこれからは私と一緒に魔法の深淵を学んでいきましょう。私とって修行の身、共に魔法を正しく学び、至福の境地を目指して頑張りましょう。はい、お師匠様。
But we didn't know the girl's name. And would the girl really have the same name as that supposed witch she just met?
Well, I was thinking if she would surpass gray-haired Beatrice, she would kind of take up her name. You know?
So she changed her name before she met Kinzo?
Maybe... No. I don't know. It's a good question. But the fact that it just kind of...
switched to her.
Yeah. Is kind of telling.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Endless Witch, was it? A name that I had yearned for in the past is the highest achievement. Now just another one of my titles. No. You can even call it a name.
たまには その呼び名に充足を感じるのは長き修行の日々の果てに得たものではない。
New soundtrack.
たまにはありがたみを感じね。少々もったいないというものよ。
I shook my head lightly. If it is called the highest level, that means that there's nothing higher. An eternal dead end, the beginning of eternal boredom.
お師匠様は言っていたね。すべての悲しみから解き放たれることが、すなわち永遠の至福だ。だからこそ、お師匠様はその域に至れなかった。
Eternal bliss means eternal boredom. That's the beginning of eternal torture. But perhaps all things depend on your point of view. Eternal boredom is the same as a sketchbook that doesn't run out of pages. It means you can draw whatever you want, can put as much effort to enjoy it as you want. Boredom is the worst poison that kills all witches. To the great witches who hold the title Lady, this is frighteningly true. It is the eternal poison that tortures them because of the eternal bliss that they have reached.
無限の魔女の名を得た今だからこそ、再びお師匠様と語らいたいものよ。我らの修行の果てにあったのは本当に幸せだった。そして本当の幸せとは何なの？
Training has no end. When you think you have reached the eternal level, that is the time you regret your immaturity. As if in answer to my own words, a memory of her saying something like that entered my mind.
なるほど。わらわは未熟。それはよい、それはよい。
Some painfully shrill laughter could be heard. It was from my furniture. Did they break their toy again?
ベアトリーチェ様、こいつまた動かなくなっちゃいました。
I have a bad feeling about this.
Yeah, me
ま
too.
だ私全然遊び足りないのに情けない男。私なんか全然遊んでないのに。
Oh my god.
私にも遊ばせて遊ばせて。お黙りなさいクイズどもが。お前たちが飢えた犬みたいにがっつくから、いくらベアトリーチェ様が直してもすぐ壊しちゃうの。サタン姉が一番壊してるよ。加減を知らないから。申し訳ございませんベアトリーチェ様。グマイどもをどうかお許しください。早くこいつを直して。次は私、次は私。
She's the one that wants the boyfriend.
Good lord. Fucking Japan. Just from that single yell, the noisy Sisters of the Seven Stakes disappeared and hid. They just mess around, having as much fun as they want breaking in. They only come to me to clean up afterwards. Good grief. My furniture doesn't let me get bored. What remained after the pieces of furniture hid themselves was just the sloppy mess that was all that remained of a broken toy.
Not the chainsaw song again.
It had no form anymore. Even I find it... Wow. I'm morphing into her. I'm becoming her.
You're the killer.
I am.
Ah,
I'm
shit.
a witch.
I'm with a murderer.
I waved my golden pipe. And I told. I chanted. I made it remember. Oh, so that's how she's bringing people back to life.
What form did you used to have?
何しろわらわには今のそなたは肉の残骸の山にしか見えぬのだ。
Miku?
Miku.
どれが腕やら
Church of
足や
Miku.
ら見当もつかぬ。
Best girl.
そなたも思い出してくれなければ、わらわにはそなたの面影も思い出せぬ。
She's also best girl because she's really into history, so that's a plus for me. By the power of the magic, the pitiful pieces of meat began to remember what their form had been. Who was connected to who? Where was joined up with where? That's right. Just like that. No, you should be a finger on the left hand. And you, the right hand. That's it. Good.
おはよう。目が覚めたか。
後ろ見バトラー。
もっとも目が覚めた方が悪夢の中とは実に皮肉な話だがな。
痛い。
わらわを魔女と認めさえすればすぐにそなたの悪夢を覚まし天国へ誘ってやろうぞ。わらわこそは煉獄山の王。わらわの許しなしこの地獄より抜け出す方法はないのだ。
この程度で地獄かよ。ダメだな。ああ、全然ダメだぜ。
I love it.
人ならば一度しか味わわずに済む死の苦しみをもう両手の指では数えきれぬほど与えられたというのに、よくもそれだけの減らず口を叩けるものよ。だからこそ飽きぬ。そなたには飽きぬのよ。
Aww, that's cute.
ああ、全然飽きねえぜ。何しろ太ももの眩しいバインバインの姉ちゃんたちがよりより緑のハーレム状態なんだからよ。おかげさまでまるで退屈しねえぜ。
それはよかった。そうでなくてはわらわも退屈だ。それ家具ども直してやったぞ。また存分に遊ぶがよい。
They're back.
You know what the title of this song is called?
No.
Play.
Ugh.
私がいただき
Dibs. Itadakimasu.
だからあんたは終わりよ終わり。次は私なの。どきなさいよ。
Oh my god.
素敵よねバトラ君。モテモテじゃない。
モテる男は辛いぜ。畜生ども。順番に並びやがらったんだ。
虚勢など張らずに素直になればもっと楽になれるのに。
いいのよこれで。その方が悲鳴が気持ちいいもの。
Good lord.
さあ今度は簡単に壊すんじゃないわよ。いいわね。返事はあんたが仕切るんじゃないわよ。さあバトラ君、さっきの続きよ。マスターキーでジェシカちゃんの部屋を施錠した後、
Oh
ど
no.
うやって室内の死体に
Oh, they're interrogating him too.
例えばよ、そうさ。釣りとか何かを使って。
What? That's stupid.
His entire defense is stretching, but it doesn't matter. Because even if he doesn't have a defense, he can just say, I don't believe, and they still can't win.
It's true.
You know?
甘いな。六軒島に存在するすべての扉は鍵が通り抜けられる隙間などない。
Apparently.
外れたね外れたね。
さあ
今度は私の番なのよ。
I think there's
どこを貫いちゃおうかな。
I think there's a word for this exact situation. I think it's pronounced scaroused.
Oh my god.
私手の甲
You know?
Yeah. Funny.
ずるい。じゃあ反対の手の甲。
私は花の頭をもらっちゃおっと。なんで私にもやらせて、私にも貫かせて。レビア姉はトロいのよ。いつだって私たちは早い者勝ちでしょうが。じゃあ私は足の甲をいただいちゃおっと。私は肩をもらっちゃうからいいもん。
姉妹なんだろ。仲良くしやがるってんだ。
No pain, no gain.
ほう、よくも耐えるものだな。お前のその痩せ我慢がむしろ私たちを楽しませているだけだとな。
あいにくだな。痩せ我慢と肘の張り合いは俺のお箱なんだ。お前らがどう俺を煙に巻こうとも、俺は絶対に魔女も魔法も認めねえ。
人間とトリックで何も説明できないくせにバカじゃないのこの身の程知らずが。いいのよ、無理に認めさせなくても今に泣きながら認めたくなるわ。今だって本当は哀れに土下座しながら許しを請いたいくせに。
もう壊しちゃった。ベアトリーチェ様。
やれやれ、わらわがいくらでも蘇らせられることを知っているから家具どもも壊すことに躊躇が。
Send him back to the chessboard already.
Yeah, seriously. Let's get another game rolling here. Endless rebirths give me free reign over endless deaths, too. Before the endless witch Beatrice, all death and life has no meaning. Even death can't serve as the key to escape from my cage.
さあバトラー、再び元の姿を思い出すがいい。何度でももてあそんでやるぞ。なるほどなるほど。永久に遊べる玩具とは実に愉快よ。なるほどな。これが無限の境地に至った魔女が得る至福の境地とやらなのか。なるほどなるほど。これは確かに何度でも蘇らせてやる。何度でも殺してやる。
But that'll get boring, too. You know?
さて次なるゲーム版ではどのような殺人劇を繰り広げよう。さあ新しきゲーム版を持て。次なるゲームを始めようではないか。後ろ宮バトラー。
It's time for a new game.
We've heard this like 10 zillion times.
Yeah, we have.
Although I don't know if it changes.
Probably not. Right?
Does this all look the same as it did before?
Yeah. So far.
There was Best Girl.
Yeah.
There was that scene from...
Putting up her shield.
Guess what song? I'm not gonna let you finish. Oh, no, it didn't work.
Can't skip it.
You tried already?
I mean, do you want me to?
If you want to. Gosh.
No. Nice. Days as a Young Girl, Saturday, October 4th, 1986.
Oh no.
Oh no!
Fall.
I'm not ready for this.
姉貴のタバコ嫌いに参った。すまんな。夕べからカリカリしとるんや。気にせんでやってくれんか。
Rudolph and Hit It Wow. These are names that we have not uttered in literal months.
Pretty much.
Literal months. Rudolph and Hideyoshi went out onto the deck and took out some cigarettes. Ava had always hated the smell of cigarettes, but when she was in a bad mood, she got even more oversensitive. The two of them had attempted to spend some relaxed time smoking until they made it to the island, but they had gotten yelled at and chased out onto the deck. Hideyoshi tried to use his lighter, but it didn't go well with all of the strong winds on the deck. Rudolph took out a Zippo with a stylish gesture and let Hideyoshi borrow the flame.
秀吉兄さんはいつ頃からタバコ？戦後すぐや。最初はタバコを転がしとってな。自分の売り物に手をつけてしまったわけや。じゃあ姉貴と会った時にはもう吸ってたわけだ。姉貴には随分やめろと言われたでしょ。わしが聞く耳持たんもんだから、あれももうすっかり諦めよった。やはり男は強情でなくてはあかんな。
Hideyoshi laughed heartily, but Rudolph chuckled. After being scolded by Ava and told to smoke outside, they had dejectedly fled to the deck together. There was almost no doubt he was under her thumb.
普段はそこまで短気じゃないんや。いや、普段はもっと温和なおとなしい女なんやで。
It's because she's about to see Natsuri.
Yeah.
毎年この日になると人が変わりよるんや。
Or just the family in general.
そうなんですか？俺らがよく知る昔からの姉貴そのものに見えますがね。そうや。後ろ宮家のエヴァに戻るんや。でもそれはわしと一緒のエヴァとは違うんや。まあ、カリカリする気持ちもわかります。今回の親族会議は面倒だ。そうやな。あのクラウス兄さんから金を脅し取ろうっちゅう計画や。親族会議なんて名ばかりの、これはただの兄弟喧嘩や。
With the family conference ahead of them, the three siblings, excluding Kraus, had made a secret contract. Each of them had a pressing situation to deal with and urgently needed a lot of money. Right now. And the only one who could help them was Kraus, who spoke for the Ushiromiya head since Kinzo was, you know...
Dead.
Well,
in his study.
Soon to be.
Basically dead.
Pretty much. They had long felt that Kraus had started taking advantage of Kinzo's loss of interest in his own wealth, and was embezzling that wealth for his own use. When everything had been going well for the siblings, even though they had found it detestable, they had pretended not to notice. But now that they needed money, they couldn't just quietly accept that. Ava had called Rudolph and Rosa into an alliance, and they were planning on exploiting that knowledge in order to draw money out of Kraus.
わしも、そしてルドルフ君も社長や。社員の生活を背負っとる身や。ローザも社長ですよ。ま、道楽ですね。そうやな、失礼。つまり、わしらは誰もが背負うものを持っとるっちゅうことや。俺も幹部連中の前で単価を切った以上は、目指して泥をすすってでも金を引っ張ってこなきゃならない。お互い様や。わしも
わしを信じてついてきてくれた社員たちを裏切れ、それこそクラウス兄さんの首根っこをひっつかんででも
Just ask him to borrow money. You don't have to wring money out of him. I mean...
Yeah, they're already talking about groveling and, like, drinking mud. Why don't they just ask him?
その兄貴と全面対決しなくちゃならねえんだから。そりゃカリカリもするだろう。
やっぱりエヴァはクラウス兄さんとは昔から仲が悪かったんか？
本人話しませんか？そりゃもう盛大に。
昔の話は聞いても話してくれんのや。思い出したい話がないんやろな。
This screen shake is really getting to me.
What, it's making you dizzy?
Not even like dizzy, but it's just like
annoying.
A little annoying and disorienting.
Yeah.
成績も良かった。それに比べ兄貴は盆栽だった。ただそばにいるだけでも十分にプレッシャーだった。兄貴はわざわざそれを誇示して兄貴を追い詰めていた。
アホやな。なんでそない敵外心むき出して追い詰めるんや。そういうのは要領がいいとは言わん。
確かに。
So is the Kansai dialect equivalent to like a southern accent kind of thing? Is that like a fair comparison?
Yes.
Because that's kind of what I'm getting from.
I would say that's a fair comparison, yeah.
兄貴は女に生まれたことを悔やんでた。だから男というだけの理由で当主を継ぐことが決まっている兄貴が、だからことあるごとに自分の方が優秀であると親父に誇示していた。
お父さんは古いタイプのお人や。男女には差別的な価値観を持っとった。自己顕示の強いエヴァは少々嫌われてたんとちゃうか。
Haven't heard this in a while either.
Yeah.
紅茶も砂糖にも似ていると思わないかね。ないのも味気ないが、過ぎれば紅茶の味わいを大いに損なう。
Since you can still drink black tea without sugar, it was exactly the same as saying that study was unnecessary for a woman. Those infuriating words were ones that my older brother had abused me with when I had been in despair, wanting to go to college but denied by father. I had protested that advancing to college was essential if I was to acquire the education and class befitting the eldest daughter of the Ushiromiya family. But the replies I received from father and my brother were, in summary, exactly the same. How conceited for a woman. Since the time I was born into the Ushiromiya family, I hadn't taken that name lightly, even once. And furthermore, nor had I ever taken lightly father's name, Ushiromiya Kinzo. It was an old family with a long history, but it had lost all its wealth and its business in the Great Kanto earthquake, and almost sank for a time. Then, father, with his ingenious talent, had taken control and revived it to be even greater than it had ever been before. I hadn't forgotten even once what it meant to be the daughter of that great Ushiromiya Kinzo. Therefore, I had always made every effort to become worthy of that name. Class worthy of the Ushiromiya family. Schooling, manners, and leadership. Even if I was far from reaching father's level, I deepened my knowledge in economics and finance and tried to improve myself so that I could help out with that at any time. However, in the end, there never came a time when father acknowledged that. To father, a woman was only meant to support a man, and nothing further than that was permissible. I wonder when it was that I understood that. I had probably understood ever since I was a young girl. But to truly accept it, I had to wait until I had grown up. Compared to my own effort, you couldn't have said that Kraus, as my older brother by 2 years, tried at all to become something deserving of the Ushiromiya family name. Ever since we were young, my brother kept saying that it was natural that he'd succeed father, just because he was born a man. He kept repeating that as though it were an absolute gap between us. I couldn't stand it. Even though I always got better grades than my brother, even though I became class president while he was stuck as vice president of his class. Even so, my brother was considered to be the appropriate person to succeed the Ushiromiya family just because he was a man. Of course, you could get away with gender discrimination in those days. No, it was even considered a virtue in those days. It was a time when women were looked down upon, and it was said that when a woman is born, she is to obey her parents, when she gets married, she is to obey her husband, and when she gets old, she is to obey her children. But because that way of thinking existed, I wanted to overturn it. Innocently, I kept trying to prove that I was the most fit. However, eventually, I realized that all of my efforts were doomed from the beginning.
女の学力は紅茶の砂糖にも似ていると思わないかね。ないのも味気ないが、過ぎれば紅茶の味わいを大いに損なう。
それはどういう意味よ、兄さん。
男には男にしか務められないことがあるように、女とて女にしか務められないことがあるんじゃないかね。子を産み育て一家の主を支えるのは女でなければできぬ務めだと思う。
女には勉強や仕事をする必要がないと言いたいの？
そこまでは言わんよ。無学な女など話していても疲れるだけだ。だがあまり頭が良すぎる女はもっと疲れる。お前のように自己主張の激しい女では未来の夫もさぞや苦労すると思うのだ。
女は結婚して夫の陰にいろとそう言いたいの？余計なお世話よ。
お前が親父殿を尊敬していて、その娘としてふさわしくありたいと思う気持ちは私にも尊敬できることだ。
気持ち悪い。何が私よ。この間まで俺だったくせにもう当主気取りなの？
当主は私が継ぐことに最初から決まっている、にもかかわらずお前は自分も当主になれるかのように錯覚して無駄かつ暴走した努力をしているに過ぎんのだよ。
暴走した努力ですって？私が大学院に進みたいと言い出すのがそんなにもおかしいっていうの？あ
あ、おかしいね。お前は確かに栄光ある後宮家の長女だよ。やがてはその家紋を背負って父にとって最も価値ある相手と婚約することになるだろう。だがそこで求められるのは過剰な学識ではない。夫をいたわる優しい気持ちと家事能力、そして一家の長を立てる控えめな態度だ。お前にはそれが完全に欠落している。
F。
それは後宮家の令状として果たしてふさわしいことなのか
ね。私は真相の令状のつもりなんかないわよ。お父様の仕事を手伝ってあげられる最高の人間でありたいと思っただけよ。
ならそれは後宮家令状としてふさわしくあるべきではないのかね。お前ときたらなんだね。いい年をして未だに男勝りで家事炊事はおろか男を喜ばせる化粧一つ身につけていないじゃないか。
Sounds kind of like Jessica.
喧嘩の稽古までしてるというじゃないかね。
いや、
失礼な。喧嘩じゃないわよ。武道は心の修練に最適なのよ。それに叱るべき場に出るときは十分女として気を使ってるわよ。何が言いたいのよ。女は男に仕える奴隷であれと、しゃしゃり出るなと、そう言いたいわけ？
それを認めるのはエレガントではないが、お前の勘違いを正すには少々毒のある言葉も必要かと思うよ。だから言い切ろう。女は男に仕えるために存在する。そして男は女を養うために存在する。女の仕事は男の背中を守り、家庭を守って子を育てることだ。それは本来言葉で気づかされることではない。おのずと気づくことだ。しかしお前はいくつになってもそれを自覚しなかったな。だから社会に出る前に兄である私がその誤解を解くのだよ。感謝してほしいものだね。
Fucking Chris.
This fucking guy.
それは全ての女への侮辱よ。いえ、私は自分のことを女だと思ったことなどないし、女だからと甘えたことなど一度もない。私のどこが兄さんに劣っているというの？
成績も経歴も何もかも私の方が勝っていて、ただ男である以上の何も持たない兄さんが私の何を見下せるっていうのよ。
身の程をわきまえているか否かだよ。私は次の当主としての心構えを日々養っている。それは将来必ず必要になることだ。だがお前は違う。突に後ろ宮の席を失うことが決まっているくせに、見る人何がそんなに不満なんだ。仮に男に生まれようとも当主を継ぐのはお前ではないだろう。お前は何がそんなにも不満で私に突っかかってくるのか。
何が不満かですって？兄さんはいつも自分は当主跡継ぎだからと私を見下して、そのくせ
Always what?
What's so unsatisfying, he says. A billion grudges, hard feelings, humiliations that I'll never forget crossed through the back of my mind. And all of them built up at the same time, coming out of my throat as nothing more than a shameful moan.
何事か想像し、
Oh no.
沈黙を尊ぶのは神だけではないぞ。
お父さん。
お父様。
Our sibling fight was probably overheard. Father entered with a clearly displeased face.
クラウス、また兄弟喧嘩か。お前にはなぜに弟や妹たちを率いる貫禄が宿らぬのか。情けない。長男が聞いては切れるぞ。
Oof. In a flash, he struck Krause's face. I prepared myself to be struck in the same way, but I wasn't hit.
申し訳ありません。お父さん。
お前に足りぬのは貫禄だけではない。まだまだ足りぬ。何もかもが未熟だ。にもかかわらず一人前を気取っておる。それを語るには100年早いことを肝に銘じ、研鑽に努めよ。わしをこれ以上息子の不出来で嘆かせるでないぞ。
Oof.
はい。
Get wrecked,
お
Krause.
父さんの後を継ぐにふさわしい人間になれるよう、さらに努力します。
It was as if those words were directed at me. Even when he was being yelled at by Father, he was still bragging to me about how he was special, about how he was the successor. I just couldn't stand it and finally spoke what was on my mind, even though I realized that this was improper for a person of the Ushiromiya family.
お父様、教えてください。私の何が劣っているというのですか？私はお父様の名に恥じない人間になれるよう、今日まであらゆる勉強と努力を重ねてまいりました。どうか私にも何が劣っているのかお教えください。私はこれ以上何を身につけたならお父様に認めていただけるのですか？
またその話か。お前には何と言えばわかるのだ。お前に期待していることなど何もない。女は女らしく料理や裁縫を学んでおればいい。貴様には女の心構えがないのだ。夫に仕えようとする気心が男に尽くそうという海外しさが全く感じられぬ。何のための女なのか。後宮家の令嬢であることを自覚しておるのか。なのに学びたがることは男の真似事ばかり。お前の役割はクラウスの真似事ではないのだぞ。お前には自らの役割が分かっているのか。
私は後宮家の人間としてお父様の名に恥ずかしくない。
その時点でもう間違っておるわ。貴様の役割は家を出て嫁ぎ、わしにとって有益な男を連れてくることだ。そして夫に尽くし子を産み増やせ。夫の一族に褒めたたえられる良妻であれ。お前に男を喜ばせる何ができるというのか。茶の作法があるというのか。料理の才能があるというのか。何もない。お前がやっているのはみんなクラウスの真似事ばかりではないか。後宮家はクラウスが継ぐ。お前がそれに不満を唱えるというのなら、それはこの私に逆らうということだ。お前は我が娘でありながら父の言うことを聞けぬというのか。出て行け。感動だ。お前に後宮など語らせん。感動だ感動だ。
お父さん、しっかり落ち着いてください。源氏さん、水を持ってきてもらえますか。
はい、ただいま。
エヴァ、席を外せ。本心ではないさ。私がなだめておく。
感動だ。私の言うことが危険なら感動だ。
She's gonna be disinherited anyways.
Oh, Kinzo. Don't ever change.
Kinzo died on the spot.
And that was that. As father struggled with a fit of heavy coughs, my brother patted his back, as if that were naturally his duty. It was so vexing for me then to let him monopolize that duty. If I approached father carelessly, I would probably be hit again. However, I fearlessly tried to approach father's back. Genji blocked me.
今は席をお外しになられた方が良いでしょう。親方様は今日はご機嫌がよくありません。
なぜに私の息子たちはこう
Kinzo was coughing up a lung.
クラウスは貫禄が足りず、エヴァはいつまで経ってもじゃじゃ馬だ。男らしい男はおらず、女らしい女もいない。
What about Rudolph and Rosa?
私の育て方がいつどこでどう間違ったのか。なぜだ源氏。私は何をいつどこでどう間違えたというのか。
Might have to do with the fact that you are a prick.
親方様は何もお間違いにな
I
っては
mean,
お
you
り
know,
ません。
it's just a theory.
クラウス様はたくましいご子息。エヴァ様何もお間違いにはなっておりません。
あれのどこが麗しいというのか。淑女どころか男の真似事ばかり。感動だ。感動だ。
A lung came out of Kinzo's mouth that day.
お父さん、それは私からよくエヴァに言い聞かせた
Oh,
ことで
he's
す。
trying to make himself look better now.
エヴァもこれからは心を入れ替えてレディーとして振る舞うと約束してくれました。どうかもう少しの猶予をいただけませんか。
何がレディーだ。
Lady my foot.
His six-toed foot.
感動だ感動だ。
Good lord. Go quickly and I'll handle this for you. Kraus gave me a look telling me that. Did I take the wrong path, just like father and my brother had said? They were right that I had never studied how to be a lady. Everything I had learned was because I'd hoped that I could help father someday. Wait, was that really the case? Hadn't I always held a growing sense of rivalry with my brother, with whom I'd had a bad relationship since I was a young girl? And wasn't I just trying to get the better of him by stealing his position as successor to the head? Every time my brother told me that men should be manly and women should be womanly, I had been tormented by this unreasonable discrimination because of my sex, something I was born with and couldn't do anything about. I had resisted, had endeavored to study until today so that I could prove that I wasn't inferior, even though I was a woman. In that case, wasn't the basis of my love of learning just a boring inferiority complex towards my brother? Father had expected me to be a lady with whom he could go out in public and not be embarrassed. Had I betrayed that expectation and earned my grades to intimidate my brother just to clear away that pent-up resentment from my childhood? Is that young Ava?
私が後宮家の跡継ぎになるんだって。あなたは私に誓ったわ。あんたは。
The one who came whispering to me was myself, born in my heart on the day I made that vow, myself on the day as a little girl. That's right. She was my only ally. Whenever I was suffering, whenever I felt like I could take no more, she would always quietly appear and take my side. Whenever I found myself with my head in my hands, stumbling over difficult problems, she would always appear and support me. As I had grown and forgotten my time as a girl, I'd also begun to forget my conversations with her.
私、 後ろ宮エヴァは絶対に後ろ宮家の当主になるの。そしてあのムカつく高慢ちきなクラウスを見返してやるの。そのために一緒に頑張ろうってあの日私たちは約束したわ。
そうね、約束したわ。私は後ろ宮家の当主後継ぎになるって。
On that day, when I had been overcome with sadness, wondering why I was even alive, you appeared inside me and lent me your strength.
お父様に認められたかった。兄さんの鼻を明かしてやりたかった。そうすれば惨めな自分に決別ができると信じていたわ。
Well, now a lot of characters have motives.
Yeah, it's really, I mean, episode 2 did this too, like going back and fleshing out backstories.
Mm-hmm.
In those days, I had really believed that I had no other purpose in life than to be looked down upon by my brother. It's painful just remembering those days. The wound, the tear that split open my heart, the tear that split open my heart. She taught me how to sew up that wound. I would change my anger into effort and improve myself. Become a person more worthy to be head than Kraus was. And triumph over him by making father accept me, the perfect revenge. I knew more or less that a woman couldn't succeed the head. But if I could become so superior that I could overturn that, then surely even father would select me to be his successor. If that happened, then I could have the greatest, ultimate, most perfect revenge against my brother, who always acted like it was completely natural for him to succeed the head.
そうすれば私たちの心の傷は癒えるの。その日まで頑張ろうって誓い合ったわ。なのにあなたはその約束を破るの？クズ、育児なし、へそかんで死んじゃえば？
Even though she has the form of my young self, she is still another me. And she has a sharp tongue. After all, she is me.
自分に言われても腹が立つわね。
The alternate selves trope is continuing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Interesting.
ならばその怒りを勉強に費やしましょうよ。怒りを力に変えるのが私の魔法。この力で何度もあなたの窮地を救い、あなたはなせないはずのことを成し遂げてきた。私の魔法がある限り。
Oh my gosh.
As long as you have my magic. Oh, I was wondering.
What?
I was wondering if that actually is someone we know and not just another her.
Who do you think it is? Beatrice?
But witches aren't real, so
No.
it can't be, right?
怒りはいつも私の原動力だったわ。いつからそれを忘れてしまったのかしら。
私を思い出せたなら、あの魔法の力は再び私たちのもの。
Anger has always been my driving force.
Ava just thinks she's a witch.
Is anger one of the 7 deadly sins?
I don't know.
It is, right?
Maybe.
さあ、その怒りを力に変えて、もっともっと勉強に励みましょう。きっと私たちにはまだまだ勉強が足りないのよ。大学院に進んで、もっといっぱい勉強して、優れた成績を出して、クラウスを追い詰めてやりましょう。あいつ、なんでもなさそうな顔してるけど、きっと心は相当追い詰められてるわ。早く身の程を思い知って死んじゃえばいいのに。そうすれば私たちが当主になれる。ルドルフは辞退してくれるわ。あの子は私には逆らえないもの。
よして、もうこれ以上勉強してもお父様は私を認めてくれないのよ。
どうして？
お父様は私に女らしくしろと言っているのよ。私がどれだけ頑張ろうと、女である限り、たとえ私が兄さんより先に生まれていたとしても、私がどれだけ努力を重ねようとも、私は女以上の何者にもなれない。認められない。何の努力もしない兄さんを超えられない。永遠に見下され続ける。
お父様もクラウスも最低の男尊主義者だわ。早く死んじゃえばいいのに。
Oh, wow. She would curse in my place. Words that I couldn't say carelessly, she would say for me. Even though I understood that she was just another part of myself inside of me, I felt like she was the only ally I had who could sympathize with me. However, while sympathy might calm my heart somewhat, it wouldn't do anything to improve my current situation. In the end, she could only console me when I was dejected by reality and for the amount of time I needed to accept it.
ありがとう。もう結構よ。こうとなったらお父様が驚くような淑女になってやるわ。兄さんなんかとは比べ物にならない立派な男を探して。ダメ、そんなの。
She rejected my timid thoughts. I know why. Because she is me. I know why.
お父様は少なくとも今は女に当主を継がせないと言っている。でもそれすらも所詮はお父様が決めたルールでしかないの。お父様が決めた以上、それを破棄できるのもお父様。人の気持ちなど浜のマサゴが尽きるよりはるかに早く変わるわ。クラウスが愚鈍な男であることは私たちが立証しなくても。その時男女の境のくだらない垣根はそれを設けたお父様によって取り払われるの。その日は必ず来るわ。どうして必ずなんて言えるのよ。それが私の魔法だから。あなたが信じてくれさえすればこの魔法は必ず奇跡を呼ぶの。
I'm triggered.
私の魔法の源はあなたの信じる心だけ。
If you'll just believe. If I can use that magic, then surely until the day I die, I'll never have to doubt that someday I will become the head. But I don't know if that is the right thing for Ushiromiya Eva. Shouldn't I aim to become the kind of lady that Father hoped for? Someone he can take out into society and boast about? Father might make a better view of me if I were reborn. Maybe my brother could find his own lifestyle and I could find mine. Besides, no matter what, I just can't imagine that my father, stubborn as he is, would not only allow a woman to succeed the head, but also skip my older brother and select me for the leadership.
信じないの？あのね、私思ったの。私には当主は告げないかもしれないけれど、私は女で子を産むことができるわ。
Okay, alright.
そして兄さんには未だ縁談もない。もし兄さんに子供ができず、私だけが子供を産めたなら、兄さんの次の当主は私の子供ということになるでしょ。それはつまり私が兄さんから当主の座を奪うのと同じ意味にならないかしら。本気で言ってるの？ええ、本気よ。少女時代からの決意を捨てるのは確かにとても悲しいこと。私の少女時代そのものであるあなたを裏切るのは、でもそれが一番現実的なのよ。
In that moment, my body changed, and I was no longer myself from back then, but as I am now, a wife and mother. Yes, this is a dream. Even so, she still possessed the same ambition and desire as always, and she argued back, with her expression displaying clear displeasure at this change.
夢を捨てるの？そして私も捨てるの？捨てるんじゃない。私も大人になってあなたと決別する日が来たということよ。そうね。エヴァはもう大人になったわ。魔法の使い方さえ忘れてしまった。今は一児の母。自ら夢を叶える魔法を忘れ去って、その夢を息子に押し付けている。自らの人生をお父様やクラウスによってめちゃくちゃにされたくせに、あなた、それが大人というものなの？ジョージはどこに出しても恥ずかしくない自慢の息子よ。私には叶えられなかった夢をジョージなら叶えられるかもしれない。ジェシカなんて成績も貧困も不良じゃない。それに女なのよ。ジェシカさえ辞退してくれればジョージが後継ぎになることだって。
My heart pained even as I said it. Aren't I just forcing my own regrets onto George? I don't have any right to disparage Jessica, and to hit her with the same words that had caused me so much suffering is just horrible. I understand. I understand. Wanting to triumph over my brother was nothing more than my personal revenge. I mustn't use George for that.
だから私自らが復讐するわ。ルドルフとローザを味方に兄さんから金をせしめようという計画があるの。きっと一矢報いることができるわ。何しろ兄さんがお父様の資産をつまみ食いしているのは確か。つまんない計画、そんなのさっさとやめて泣き寝入りでもしちゃえば。私たちは後ろ宮家の当主になるの。
We will become the head of the Ushiromiya family. Ugh.
その夢をごまかさないで。
Lord of the Rings.
だから絶対に叶えられると私を信じて、私の魔法を信じて。
Believe in the Ava that believes in you.
信じたら魔法は力を持つのかしら。
うん、私の魔法はどんな願いも必ず叶えるの。
信じるわ、信じるから。その魔法で奇跡を起こして。そうでなくちゃ私の心の傷は永久に癒されない。
うん、ならよく聞いて。私の魔法の言葉、そしてそれを理解して。謎が解けたなら私たちは後宮家の当主になれるの。だから耳を澄ましてよく聞いて。
Solve the riddle. Become the Ushirumiya family head. Does that mean whoever solves the epitaph becomes the new head of the family?
I'm assuming.
Behold the sweet fish river running
Here
through my
we
beloved
go.
home of old. You who seek the golden land, follow its path downstream in search of the key.
エヴァ姉さん、そろそろ着くみたいですよ。
As her shoulder was tapped by Kyrie, Ava jumped and awoke from her doze.
ごめんなさいね。寝ぼけてたわ。驚かせてしまってごめんなさいね。
エヴァおばさん、ぐっすりでしたね。朝はだいぶ早かったんですか？
まあね、恥ずかしいところを見せちゃったわ。ごめんなさい。
眠れるくらい余裕があるのは大したもんだぜ。バートラなんかずっと落ちるーったの沈むーったのまったく退屈しないやつだぜ。
It's nice to see Jessica alive again.
Yeah.
人間誰しも苦手の一つや二つくらいあるもんだぜ。
Battler and Jessica went back out, squabbling merrily. Rudolph also made a face as if asking, "Are you all right?"
しっかりしろよ。親父たちの顔を見れば本当にすっ飛ぶぜ。せいぜいお互い頑張ろうぜ。
そうね。特に今年はしっかりしないとね。
だね。お互い靴の穴を引き締めてかか
That is a great line. Rudolph said these strict words in a small voice that only Ava could hear. Strict?
Counts our
Is that
assholes.
strict? Failure would not be tolerated in this year's family conference. All of their companies were hanging in the balance. Even Rudolph's face looked a little tense. Ava's expression probably looked tense as well.
母さん、荷物を持つよ。甲板に上がろう。
ありがとう。ジョージは本当に気が利くわね。
どうして急にお礼なんか。母さんらしくもない。
エヴァ、ジョージ、到着やで。荷物をまとめるんや。
到着
こらマリア、転ぶから走るのやめなさい。
It seemed Maria was already getting excited. She ran circles around Hideyoshi, escaping from Rosa, who was trying to catch her.
どうしたの、母さん。
Did she say something?
She did, but I didn't hear it.
具合悪いの？
ジョージ、荷物を持って先に行ってなさい。母さんは貧血だろ。わしが肩を貸すわ。
そう、わかったよ。
By looking at Ava's peculiar expression, Hideyoshi realized that it had not been a pleasant awakening and made George go on ahead. Rudolph's family and Rosa's family also went up onto the deck, leaving only Ava and Hideyoshi inside the boat. Ava had a vague expression on her face, as though she still hadn't been able to escape from her daydream.
どないしたんや。神妙な顔して。
私、ジョージを自分の復讐の道具にしてたんじゃないかしら。私の兄さんに対する子供じみた敵対心のせいで、あの子の人生を自分のおもちゃにしてしまってはいないかしら。ああ、私はなんてことを。
そんなことあらへん。ジョージはどこに出しても恥ずかしゅうないわしらの自慢の息子や。仮にエヴァの思惑が多少混じっとったとしても結果オーライっちゅうもんやないか。エヴァはなも悪うない。むしろ ジョージは厳しくしつけてくれたと感謝しとるくらいやで。
本当に？ねえ、本当？ジョージは私のこと嫌な母さんだと思ってないかしら？
No.
ねえねえね
そんなことただの一度も口にしたことあらへんで。エヴァの杞憂や。
秀吉様、皆様下船なさっておりますよ。おや、何か落とし物ですか？お手伝いしましょうか。
Kumasawa had come to check on them when they hadn't come up to the deck. Hideyoshi hid Eva behind his back so that her expression couldn't be seen.
ああ、すまんな。ちょっとわしのネクタイピンがいかれてもうてな。もう大丈夫や。すぐ行くで。外で待っててや。
そうですか。それでは表でお待ちいたしております。
From that almost incomprehensible excuse, Kumasawa realized that something had come up and disappeared so that she didn't trouble them further. If they stayed here any longer, they would probably make everyone else worry too.
そろそろ行こうか。ジョージたちを心配させてまうで。
私、本当にジョージに恨まれてない？
ああ、恨まれてなんかあらへん。むしろ感謝しとるぞ。悪い夢でうなされたんか、また。
Again. Hideyoshi knew that it wasn't rare for Eva to be tormented by nightmares, and they would always become more striking on the days leading up to the family conference. Hideyoshi knew that Eva's relationship with Kraus was still so full of antagonism that it could even be called a trauma, and that she still couldn't separate herself from how she'd felt as a child.
それは夢や。わしが一緒にいる。こうして手をギュッと握っとったら、そんな夢もどっか行ってしまうで。な、ほら。
痛いわ。ありがとう。もう平気よ。降りましょう。
ああ、降りようか。みんな待たせてるで。
ごめんなさい。
ん？
さっきあなたのタバコの煙のこと怒鳴ってごめんなさい。
普段ならそんなことで謝らんくせに。悪い夢見た後のお前は気弱でいかん。気にするなや。お前に煙が届いていることを気づかんかったわしが悪いんや。
Hideyoshi is a good man.
He is. They have a pretty solid relationship.
ならんならん。この程度で嫌いなんて言うとったら3日もたんで。ささ、たったたった。折れるで、折れるで。
秀吉様、エヴァ様、大丈夫ですか？お体が優れません。
This time, Goda had come. It looked like they had kept everyone waiting too long after all. Eva also stood up without grumbling this time. She couldn't keep on forcing her bad mood onto her husband and causing him more trouble, because that was not something a good wife would do.
大丈夫ですか？体調が気になられるようでしたら、南條先生をお呼びしましょうか。
ありがとう。ちょっと貧血気味でね。もう大丈夫よ。
婦人病中やっちゃ。気にせんといてや。
もうそんなの人に言わないでよ。恥ずかしいわ。
おお、すまんすまん。
Eva elbowed Hideyoshi in the gut. By that time, her normal expression had returned, which allowed Hideyoshi to relax a little. The bright sunlight outside was almost enough to really make a person go giddy. A small plank was lowered to get off the boat, and Goda was waiting there, smiling and ready to lend them a hand.
どうぞエヴァ様、お手を。
This looks familiar.
ありがとう。
六軒島へようこそいらっしゃいました。
Oh, fuck.
おかえりなさい。
Oh, no! Oh, no. When she left the boat, it seemed to Eva as though she had heard the voice of her young self saying, Welcome back.
Okarinasai?
Okarinasai. No, it hadn't seemed that way. Someone had said Okarinasai to her. After becoming a shameless adult, the voice of her young self was distant.
私は何のために生きてるの？何をどうすれば私はこの猛襲から解き放たれるというの？
Hideyoshi heard her talking to herself. He drew Eva close to him by her shoulder, and just by his firmness he communicated that there was no need to say anything more. Maybe it was because the typhoon was getting closer. The lively cries of the seagulls, which usually greeted them when they arrived, couldn't be heard at all.
Umineko onakukoro ni.
When they cry. And I'm about to cry.